Charlie Munger, the longtime partner of Warren Buffett, who recently died with a net worth exceeding $2.3 billion, is known for a famous quote where he says the first $100,000 is a but you must do it. I don't care what it takes. Find a way to put your hands on $100,000. He emphasizes reaching 100K through any legal method possible is extremely critical because the truth is that your net worth fully accelerates after your first 100K. Now, this happens due to several key concepts that we're going to break down in today's video, and also toward the end of this video, I'm going to walk you through a few strategies you can apply in your daily life to reach that goal as fast as possible. The first concept to grasp is that capital core principle 1 scales incredibly well. What do I mean by that? I'm talking about the idea that the rewards or returns from owning capital rise proportionally as the size of the capital itself increases. For instance, if you invested $100 into the stock market or another investment vehicle, you accept some level of risk. And by the end of the year, let's assume you earn a 10% return that would give you an extra $10 in that situation. Now, that's not a life-altering amount of money. And I'd actually argue most people can earn $10 an hour doing some kind of work or task. So in this scenario, you risked $100 of your hard-earned cash and ended the year with $10 to show for it, which isn't very impactful. Now imagine instead that you had $100,000 invested in the stock market and you achieved that same 10% return. That brings you to $110,000. And what's fascinating here is that you assume the exact same amount of risk. As in the first example, both situations, same risk, same time horizon, but drastically different outcomes because the starting amount of capital was totally different. This is essentially why people say it takes money to make money. The second concept to understand as you build toward your first 100K core principle 2 is that it works like pushing a snowball down a hill. As the snowball rolls downhill, it grows larger because it gathers more snow and the momentum keeps carrying it forward. Imagine you save $10,000 per year and manage to earn a 7% return investing in the stock market. Now, historically, the stock market averages around 8 to 10% annually, but we'll use 7% to account for taxes and fees reaching your first 100K. This way would take about 7.84 years if you save 10K annually and invest it. A common misunderstanding would be that reaching $1 million would then take 7.84 years multiplied by 10, but that's actually incorrect in reality. It only takes a fraction of that time to hit $1 million. It won't take 78 years. So let's see how long it really takes to reach 200K after hitting $100,000. Climbing to 200K total would only take 5.1 years because now your initial 100K is earning returns while you continue contributing 10K every year. Now jump ahead to 500K and you'll notice that each additional 100K arrives faster than the last. You're still responsible for adding 10K per year while the invested money continues working at 7% annually. So with that understanding, let's review how long each 100K takes up to the first 500K. The first 100K takes 7.84 years, then 5.1 years, then 3.78 years, then 3.01 years. And finally, the fifth 100K takes just 2.5 years when you eventually reach the $1 million mark. It would have taken 3.74 years under our assumptions. But let's look at the full-time breakdown. The first 100K illustration of compounding required 7.84 years, or 25.5% of the total time needed to reach $1 million. The remaining 900K required 74.5% of the time. And that's kind of ironic because it shows that building wealth is disproportionately harder at the very beginning, by the way. If you're wondering, the next 100K after reaching $1 million only takes 15 months, which is just 15% of the time it took to achieve your first 100K. Okay, so hopefully this makes it clear that your net worth truly explodes after hitting 100K. But even more importantly, it shows that if we can reach 100K faster than 7.84 years, we unlock way more time for massive wealth accumulation. Essentially, all the resistance to wealth building exists at the start within that first 100K, and that's exactly why Charlie Munger says and why you should do everything possible to reach it. And this highlights one of the biggest issues I see among some of my friends and this generation overall. We live in a world driven by instant gratification, and too often we don't think through the consequences of our spending before acting. I watch my friends, they haven't reached 100,000 in net worth yet, but they constantly blame society and aggressively spend everything they earn because they'd rather enjoy today since they believe they can't, quote, afford anything. And while I do agree that you should still enjoy life and recognize that living costs are extremely high, I still believe we should be intentional with whatever dollars remain. Knowing what you now understand about the importance of the first $100,000, how does that change how you view a night of drinking or impulse shopping for the newest fashion, or paying $300 extra each month on a car payment you don't actually need before reaching $100,000 in net worth you? The value of a dollar pre 100K need to understand that every dollar matters far more, especially early on. And that's probably why you hear people online saying you shouldn't buy coffee or that millennials shouldn't eat avocado toast. I'm looking at you, Graham. And honestly, there's no money spent worse than money spent by millennials, because it's often terrible. There is truth in the idea that saving aggressively when you're young and building wealth early is critical. My dad always tells me this dumb line, which is $1 million, son, is made of 1 million single dollar bills. It's a silly saying, but the meaning behind it is that every dollar counts, and gradually stacking those $1 bills gets you to bigger figures like 1,000, 5,000, or 10,000, and then it becomes significant. The lesson here is that you must stack your chips patiently and save toward $100,000, and saving matters because, let me show you something contrary to popular belief, the first 100K is not primarily made of investment returns. What the first 100K made up of? Take a look at this calculator from the 4-Pillar Freedom blog. I'll link it in the description, but if you save $15,000 per year for 6 years and earn a modest 4.5% return, you'd reach $105,000 after 6 years, with 85% coming from savings and only 15% from investment gains in another case. If you save $110,000 per year with a 10% return, it takes 7 years, and savings make up 67% of the total $14,000 here. The takeaway is that your first $100,000 almost never comes purely from investing. It mostly comes from smart spending, reducing expenses, and increasing income over time. Now, if you want to hit $100,000 as quickly as possible, I want to share 3 strategies, 2 of which are popularized by the book The Millionaire Next Door, which I'll reference here, but all are excellent starting points. Strategy 1 to get there. Fast 1 is increasing your offense. This comes from a sports or gaming mindset. A major factor in reaching $100,000 is aggressively increasing your income as quickly as possible. No matter your current earnings, your offense should focus on wealth building. This could mean taking courses, earning certifications, starting side hustles, freelancing, or switching jobs. If opportunities arise, another option is investing in stocks, real estate, or businesses. You can also develop a high-income skill within the next year, and I explain exactly how to approach that in my video on going from 0 to 100K in 1 year, which I'll link at the end. The core idea is that your time should be spent allocating resources toward building wealth instead of consuming, which leads us to strategy 2 to get there. Faster is playing strong defense. I'm going to read a quote from The Millionaire Next Door, which is an older book from the 1990s. It says that if you cannot significantly raise your compensation, become wealthy. Another way, do it defensively. The book studied 95% of Americans with over $1 million in net worth in 1990 and found most were ordinary people with disciplined financial habits. Many of those millionaires played great defense, even without high incomes. Defense here means intentionally spending less through actions like planning ahead, budgeting, and cutting discretionary spending. For example, do you know how much you spent eating out last year? Most people don't, but the millionaires in the book did not, because they loved budgeting, but because it kept spending under control. Now, the third approach, strategy 3 to get there fastest, is maximizing the efficiency of the dollars you already have. If you live in a Western country, you know, the government loves taking a share of your income, sometimes over 50%. But in the US, the top federal rate is about 37%. One simple way to grow and protect your money is using tax-advantaged accounts like a Roth IRA, traditional IRA, or 401k. The Roth grows tax-free. The traditional IRA gives a deduction, and a 401k often includes employer matching, which is free money plus tax benefits if you optimize dollars. This way you reduce how much the government takes, meaning faster wealth growth. And since the hardest part is the beginning, getting over that hurdle quickly really matters. Another efficiency is using a high yield savings account. If your cash sits in a big bank earning 0.01%, that's extremely inefficient. You should move it to high yield savings accounts, which now pay 4 to 5% options. Include Sophie Wealthfront Ally or Marcus. I'll leave links below. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll link my next video here on how to go from 0 to 100K in 1 year. It repeats some ideas, but the sections on high income skills and irreplaceability are powerful. Hope to see you there or in the next one. Peace.